I want you to understand the application, the clear application of the personality of the impulses as opposed to the personalities of the corrective structures. So we said that impulses are fast, elegant, thin, that they have a slope, right? So when we want to label these, I want to label from the bottom here. When we want to label these, how would we label it? Let's see if I can do something bigger so we have a better view. Apparently not. Yeah, okay, apparently I can't. Oh, yeah, more or less. Okay. So, in answer to what somebody asked me yesterday, if we want to label this, where do we start? Well, thank you, that is food for thought. Oh, thank you. Not so sure what you're referring to, but I'm glad that it's giving you food for thought. So here, we have a very clear moment in this chart where we can see how, just by looking at it, we don't even have to count it, just by looking at it, we could see where is the path of least resistance. And the reason why we want to see where is the path of least resistance is because with the path of least resistance, then we can see waves developing into 5. Whereas where the path offers strong opposition, let me not use the word resistance because we use that word in a different way, right? Resistance or support. I'm not using the word in that sense, let's say. So the path of least opposition, let's say. Whereas with the path of opposition, they cannot develop. So here, for instance, you see here, it moves at once. Great. But look when it moves from here to here. Look how it moves. Down, up, down. And it cannot develop further. So you can right there say, well, this looks like a correction. Why? Because, well, it struggled to develop. It couldn't develop in 5. It struggled. It took a lot more time. Look how long it took to move from here to here in terms of how many bars as to move from here to here. This was probably 4 times the amount of bars, right? And it didn't even travel the entire distance, and yet it took a lot longer. Well, that's slow. And on top of slow is in 3. So you can see at one movement, 3 movements. You can see this big move up, and look in 3. You can see big move up, and look in 3. Is it clear for you this? Notice that I'm not labeling it. I just want to know if the drawing or the showing of the pattern here, the interpretation of what is happening there is clear. Because when you have that, based on that, you start thinking in terms of trend. It has to be continuous, right? I'm not so sure what you mean by it has to be continuous. But let's say we want to label this. How do we label it? Well, a very simple way to do it, even though we start from the bottom, when we label something, not always we have to start from the beginning. You know, if we see a pattern that we recognize in the middle, we go from that one. So for instance, I see a pattern here. When I see this chart, I see a pattern here that I recognize immediately. What is that pattern? One that we have been discussing for hours. Up, down, up, down, up. You see, let me take that away from it so you can see it. Isn't that what we have been discussing over and over and over again? It looks like that, right? So we could think that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is an impulse. And so now, are there 3 waves down? Well, here is down, up, down. Okay, so let's see. If we were to label this, let's say let's make it a little bit higher because this is a this is a monthly chart. So one way to start it, not always the best way, but you know, since we already have the entire move, we could start from the end. So we say, well, this is going to have to be a 5. And the dip right before that, well, likely a 4, but I'm going to be open in case that is not. Well, then the top, or the top near, has to be the 3. But we already discussed that this is the end of some impulse, so I'm going to put the 3 here. And obviously the 2 will be at the low of that move, which leaves the 1. Notice that we started from backwards, right? And now we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do they have 5 legs? Well, they look like, because even if they don't have the 5 legs here, they look like, at least this one, display clearly those 5 waves, right? Now, it's possible that this one doesn't display them clearly, although I think they are up there, you know, for instance. Let's open it like this. We could say, let's say, and by the way, we wouldn't have to label them, all the waves in one time frame. Not necessarily. Sometimes we have to, but in this case, I'm doing this just for the sake of showing you potential 5 waves in them. So I would say 3 ended there, 4 here, and 5, well, obviously at the end, right? Does it look impulsive? Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's see. Does wave 2 travel more than 100% the distance traveled by wave 1? No, it doesn't. Is wave 3 the shortest? No, it is not. In fact, it's the longest. Did wave 4 end at the inside the price territory of wave 1? No, it didn't. So this has 5 waves. So it looks like. So now we can take them away. I just label that as a way to show you that they look like 5 waves. The wave 1, well, the wave 1 is kind of easier, no? Because if we were to do exactly the same, look at that. We have a 1, 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. Very clear. I mean, there we don't have to argue too much. Again, did wave 2 travel more than 100% distance traveled by wave 1? No. Is wave 3 the shortest? No. Did wave 4 end in the price territory of wave 1? No, it didn't. So it applies. And this one, well, this one is very clear. Here you have your 1, your 2, your 2, your 3, where is the 4? Here is the 4, and the 5th up there. So again, this seemed to be like an ideal chart that I found to show you that prices actually move in the way that the Elliott wave principle describes. But no, it's not. It's just that, you know, this is the way that price move typically.